Hi, Eastern Physical Education students. I'm going to run through our process for PETE majors, K-12 majors, to apply to our program. This is our final year where we have newer students in, so freshmen, new transfers in, and are in that final application stage. And then for everyone, minors included, I'm going to be going through some info about the PETE Combine and what's coming up with that. So first of all, this is for all students who are using last year's catalog, the 2018 to 19 catalog, or prior or earlier. And just know that the application is from a management standpoint of our students, and the Combine is specifically going to be a part of meeting your initial physical education teacher education standard 2, which does require data to be collected on your technical skill proficiency, your physical fitness, as determined by us and Fitnessgram, and then also professional dispositions, which come through in the interview. And so just know that this year is a little bit different. Typically, we don't give permission to register for those fall or winter methods classes until you are actually accepted, and that's for majors, into the program, meaning going through the 3 steps I'm going to explain. Minors, you will need overrides anyways. It is different this year because we are trying to make sure that everyone is able to get through in a timely manner. So just know and expect that as you register for winter 20 classes, and then later for fall 20 and so on classes, that overrides are going to be expected for PETE methods classes or the PhD methods classes, which honestly is okay because then it makes sure that we check in with you and you check in with us on progress or any other options that we might have. And so the application process, any PETE intent majors who are going to be K-12 physical education majors here at Eastern, any post-bac students who are going to be PETE post-bacs, basically getting their K through 12 teaching endorsement in physical education. The Combine only applies to our secondary PE minors. And then our continuing certification students, it depends who you are and what you're coming in for. But for most of any of our continuing certification students, it is going to be the full application process. So that's all 3 steps. And all steps here for this group will need to be complete by April 1st, 2020. So first step is actually just applying to physical education teacher ed. And I know a lot of you listening have already done some of these steps, but just to double check, we do have March 15th of each winter term as that deadline. This is what the form looks like. It's pretty simple. Just you are essentially identifying that you are intending to start in the when you're wanting to start your methods classes. So if you already started them early, for example, like this semester, you'll put fall 19. Couple questions about, is your major declared correctly? What classes have you take? Certifications, what work have you been doing with youth already? Have you done the Combine? And then it also, the last thing it says, you have to submit a statement of your personal goals and what's influenced your passion to become a physical education teaching professional, also by that March 15th deadline. So title it with your name, PETE personal statement. You'll email it to me and I add it to your file. So that's what we have for that. That's our application. Pretty short and sweet. So again, the application, this applies to PETE intent, K-12 PETE majors, PETE post-bac students, and continuing certification students. Minors, you don't have to do that. Everybody has to do the Combine though. So the sign-up form, I'm not going to show you. It's just a simple Google form just saying you're going to come. There's a question in there that does ask if you have any injuries or any, I would say, conditions that we might need to adapt or adjust for in the Combine itself, or we might need to check in or follow up with you prior. We have 2 more dates where the Combine is going to be offered, and that's it. So we have our first one set October 4th. This is going to be a makeup for a lot of the people that weren't able to do the one this past April because of our gym renovation and moving issues that we had as we were moving from Gym B to Gym A. And so this is our second last time it's going to be offered. If you know you can make it October 4th and can make this happen, you should come now, because unfortunately we won't have our April date set until We have our April course schedule set and also the facility schedule set, which that's going to be about another month or two at the very, very earliest, where we would choose that April date. It will likely be a Friday, also that same time slot, but we can't say. There might be a chance it could be the last weekend of March 2 or last Friday of March 2, but we can't say for sure what that date is yet. We do request that you sign up right here for the Combine just at least a week prior to let us know that you are indeed coming, because it helps us plan for how many people we're going to have. And then the next thing I'm going to go through is this link here. So this is our Combine overview. We do update it before each one. So I want to run through what that document actually looks like. And so this is what you would open up. It's fundamental motor skills, basic gameplay, fitnessgram, and Red Cross Learn to Swim assessment. It says who's going to come when you do it. At this point, you either pick August, or you either pick October, or you pick April. Minors, our rule is you just need to do it to get so we can collect data. You have to do it before you student teach. So that would apply to our special education majors and PE minors who are student teaching in PE. And then to our other PE minors who are majoring in another area, you just have to student teach in your general first area, but we still request that before your student teaching starts. I definitely recommend, if you aren't sure when to take it, ask me. I can kind of walk you through what might be going on, and you can walk me through what your schedule might look like. Again, registration for the Combine itself, simple Google form. We've got our dates are on here. The times are the same. It's always going to be a Friday. We meet in Warner Gym A. Things you bring yourself. Your EID, I mean, at this point we know who you are, but just in case to verify, wear clothes you can get sweaty in. It's going to be challenging at some points, so moderately to vigorously active. Bring a swimsuit, bring a towel. If it's, cold outside, clothes to change into. Water bottle for sure, and definitely recommend a snack, because it's 4 hours of not continuous movement, but you're there for over 4 hours. And again, this is to maintain our College of Ed's, which we are a part of, unit recognition, showing that we are meeting our state and national standards, and so we are required to make sure we meet all those standards, which includes standard number 2. And just know that this assessment, it's just to provide evidence that you have the basic physical skills and abilities to do what is expected of your students that you're going to be teaching, and for just yourself as a teacher having to teach and demonstrate for these students. So that's kind of our gist. We'll go to the overline or outline of what to expect in just a bit. A few frequently asked questions that we get a lot. Okay, if you're injured, we don't have a lot of options because we have October and we have April. If you are injured right now and you think that injury should be healed up and you want to kind of take a gamble and wait till April, I recommend doing that. If you aren't sure if the injury will be fixed by then, come chat with me about it. We absolutely can make modifications for disability, for injury, for anything else like pregnancy, but we want to make sure essentially that you're safe, that you have a fair opportunity to complete the assessment within your means. And so definitely let me know if you have questions about it. Next is nothing will impact your grades in any of your classes. You're just required to complete this to the best of your abilities. For our PET majors and post-backs, I don't want to say it won't impact you being accepted in, but if you are scoring low, below our minimal performance, which like for locomotor movements, for example, is often, a lot of them are 2nd grade proficiency. Some of them are 9th grade proficiency. We are going to make an indication in that, and that's going to be something in your portfolio that you will need to show documentation of improvement. And so that's something we'll talk about after that. If you're really bad at something, again, that kind of hits on that. And I would be concerned if there's an area that you just can't do, or you're not able to do it with proficient technique. it is problematic because we have to be able to demonstrate a lot of these things. And I understand we're able to use some other demonstration methods in our classes and with kids, but this is essential to what we do. These are considered technical skills. And if an area, even in a fitness area, honestly, and I know we all have different opinions on the fitnessgram, but that's something to keep in mind for ourselves as models and as people who are asking our students to do these same assessments, that if we are pretty low in a particular area, it's a professional obligation for us to challenge ourselves to rise to an expectation. And these are not high-performing athlete expectations. These are health-related indicators of fitness. These are general functional movement and just a movement that allows us to be at a recreational level of daily living activities. So if you have questions on this, talk to me about what that means, but just know you will have to document in your portfolio spaces where you are weak and where you have improved on those weaknesses. So that's the overview. The next thing that I'm going to go through is through the outline of what to expect. And so here's what we got. Again, how to register for it, what to bring, same stuff. We've typically done check-ins, and we do bioelectrical impedance assessment, which uses just a really simple electrode measured body fat percentage. It calculates your BMI because we do take your height. Well, we take your weight. We don't take your height. So it will assess that. And then we go into fairly quickly, it's kind of like our warm-up, our fundamental traveling locomotor movements. We do those basically in isolation. We use PE metrics rubrics to assess those. We use jumping and landing as a station. And then we get into essentially controlled and isolated settings of some throwing and catching. We have taken the frisbee throw out. So just keep that in mind. You don't have to do the frisbee throw. Then we move into some very, very modified game forms. And so we do a modified version of pickleball, a doubles version. So you get a lot of practice actually in pickleball. Bowling, very modified, showing that you have an ability and an understanding to bowl several frames. And can perform the necessary motor skills to do that and understand the concepts of adjustments to pick up spares. We use bowler's ed materials, so carpet, plastic pins. We do a very modified version of softball, so it's fielding an indoor type of softball from the second base area and making a catchable throw to first base. And then we go into a very modified version of team handball. So it's a 3-on-2 gameplay situation, looking at your ability to showcase your understanding and execution of tactics that fall into more of our offensive space, like attacking the goal, finding passing lanes, creating space, keeping movement going, and then also some defensive tactics as well, such as defending space, preventing scoring. Then we move into the fitnessgram. So here's a link to the fitnessgram itself. Here's the link to a summary document of the Healthy Fitness Zone standards. We use the 17 years old plus. Those have been validated previously for adult population up to age 30. And so we do whole group pacer all at one time. If you don't know what that is, it's also known as the LEAP test. We do some partner assessment and stations with our Backsaver sit and reach. We do push-ups, trunk extension and stations, push-ups and curl-ups, by the way, our whole group at the same time to a cadence. We will use some partner work to help with counting, but that's our fitnessgram portion of it. And then for the last part, we move into the club pool for our fitness assessment. And so these are really helpful links if you're not sure what to expect. Click on these because it tells you every single thing that we're using. So here's the entire manual for this first link for the level 4 Learn to Swim. It lists every stroke, it lists the quality of movement, it lists step-by-step progressions. I would highly recommend using that as a resource. Here's the actual checklist that we use, our requirements. We have some teaching tips and expectations, and so that would also be helpful. to go through to know what we're actually looking for within the checklist itself. It's kind of, the checklist is just checking off this is the quality that is necessary. And then